Direct from Foxborough, Massachusetts, the gem of Norfolk County, and taped at the studios of Foxborough Cable Access. It's Foxborough Central. And here's your host, Bob Hickey.
And welcome to another fantastic episode of Foxborough Central. I am Bob Hickey, your host, thanking you for taking a little bit of time to join me and my guests as we talk about the people, events, and organizations that make Foxborough truly the gem of Norfolk County. And as with any gems, you've got to have some support prongs in place. And those, of course, will be on the backs of our volunteers and those who volunteer to run for our volunteer boards. Board of Selectmen being the top board in the land. And I want to welcome my guest, Mark Sullivan. Mark is running for a return visit to the Foxborough Board of Selectmen. I ran and sat with you on that board back in the 2000s for many years, and we had some successes, we had some growth opportunities, and we had some discussions, but all in all, it was a great time for, at least for me. I enjoyed working with you, and so here we are again, and you are looking to run for the one of the two seats on the 3-year term for Board of Selectmen, correct?
Correct.
Why are you doing that?
I think I can offer a lot more to the town than most. I really do. They're all great people running for the board. I know them all, and everybody has something to give. And you know, I think I can bring a little bit more than the other opponents.
Well, you certainly bring the experience. Now, let's see, you've been elected 3 times?
Yes.
And this will be the 4th. So what we're doing, and remember everybody, of course, that election day is Monday, May 2nd. So it's very important that we all write that in our calendars and don't forget it. And we do vote on May 2nd. If people want to learn more, before we get into the meat and potatoes of the discussion, if we want to learn more about you, you're not a Facebook user, you are a direct dial the candidate and find out good stuff. So to get in touch with you, they call?
You can call my cell number at 508-212-3670.
212-3670.
Correct.
Fantastic. Okay, Mark, so Board of Selectmen, 3-year term. You want to run, why?
I've been watching again, Bob. I took my hiatus after losing to a very good candidate the last time I ran to David Feldman. And we were friends during the debate and the campaign. We still are today. Good guy, great family. And, you know, I stay in touch with him. I stay in touch with most of the board members. And I've been a little upset by the direction of the board lately. One thing is, you know, you get this liquor license situation going back and forth and back and forth. And it seems like to me there's a lot of still hangover from the casino. I know it's that word again. A lot of division still. That's the way I read through it. If you know, back when we brought Splitsville to town.
Splitsville, of course, was the now successful business of a Patriot Place, and then there was the alcohol license component for the Howl at the Moon venue.
The transfer of the license. And I was chairman at that time, and we had to have 3 public hearings to revisit it. I just put it on the agenda to revisit it, to have another discussion with the board, because the board voted 3-2 twice not to approve the transfer. And the whole situation was, you know, the Patriots organization up there decided, okay, we're going to hire a full-time sergeant up there. We're going to police this. We're going to bring this whole new policing plan together. It was Chief O'Leary as part of all that, and they dedicated a lot of revenue to this.
So, and I'll, as a layman who's not directly involved, so you're saying that the craft organization and the Patriot Place Mall has to pay for a sergeant up there for police details.
Yes, a policing plan.
The policing plan, and it's approved by Chief O'Leary.
Yes.
And it's implemented as part of the requirements or conditions to have the license.
Correct.
And that's, of course, vetted through the Board of Selectmen, and they are well within their rights when awarding a license to place conditions upon that license within the parameters of the law.
It was what is exactly what we did when it was approved. And the thing is, now you're hearing, and that was very confrontational, and a lot of people were for it. And there was a petition going around town, why not, why not? And I was always for it. And I thought the protection was in place. It was zoned for, that whole area was zoned and built for that protection of policing around that area. So working with Chief O'Leary, and back then it was Bob Cutler was the town manager.
That's right.
Because we had a departure with Kevin Pecos. And
Who?
yeah, that guy. So we worked very hard on that, and it was ended up being a 40-hour-a-week job at the time. But it came to fruition.
Yep.
And I was very proud of that. And now I see the board arguing about more licenses up there. I mean, if you haven't figured out by now, it's an entertainment community, that everything else is online except for entertainment. You're in the wrong world. You might as well be in northern New Hampshire or Vermont or something else.
Very interesting point that the Patriot Place has changed from a what I think was envisioned back in the 2005, 2006 era as major retail
shopping mall
and higher end shopping mall to an entertainment and restaurant venue. You're absolutely correct, and because of that, I think you know your discussion point is valid, because clearly government, which can't always be accused of being up on the times, does need to understand that and perhaps embrace it, but definitely accommodate
we were both
to the best
part
of,
of that.
to the best of the ability. And so now we have that, and now the issue before us today, in addition to Patriot Place being a continuing growth and revenue generating opportunity for the town, but the town as a whole, of course, is under the purview of the Selectmen, and now with the master plan being updated, we now see a lot of liquor license not applications, but under the home rule petition, initiatives to petition the state to award Foxborough additional dedicated liquor licenses. And as we heard at the special town meeting in February from our town manager, Bill Keegan, these liquor licenses now need to be dedicated to a specific economic zone or a specific growth area. That's to the point, the new development that is going into the former Foxfield Plaza, the 2 liquor licenses that were approved were specifically delineated for that section of town. So where are we now? And I know that the Economic Development Committee has been looking at this issue, and there's a major report that was given discussion at the April 23rd meeting of the Foxborough Board of Selectmen, and it's going to be on the warrant in May. So we have a lot coming up in a short time. What are your feelings on that?
It seems to me that certain board members don't want anything more up there. They don't want any more liquor license restaurants up there. You get a hotel being under construction right now. Mm-hmm. Now I understand there's 4 more being petitioned for that area, and a few more for Foxfield Plaza and a couple for the center. Well, maybe you should get a couple more in reserve so we can expand it up there even more, because I know there's talk about a 3rd hotel. I mean, we together were part of this from day one when it was this small, and it's expanding. But I just think that, hey, we all were affected by that little civil war we went through with the casino, mm-hmm. All right? Wipe it off your shoulders. Let's work together again. Let's work together, because it's only what's good for Foxborough if we all work together. And I think if they need 4, they need 6, they need 8, I'm ready for that discussion. That is one reason. And I just feel that a couple of board members are just, no matter what you say, are going to vote in the negative. And I don't think that's an open-minded board. Mm-hmm. And, mm-hmm. And one board member reflects all, as we would say back in the day. The board is reflected by everybody. If you behave badly or I behave, you reflect on the whole board.
Interesting.
So I think that the negativity needs to stop. The other reason is, Chief O'Leary is retiring in September.
Yes, he is.
That's a scary thought.
September, October time period,
I think
sure.
It's September 1st.
Is it really?
I think that's a scary thought.
He has served our town so well for so long, it's going to be quite a change, no matter who gets the job.
I've seen some of the people we've hired for other positions in the past, and I want to make sure that we well vet this for the next police chief, because it's very important. We've had some people that we've employed in this town that didn't work out. And that's one of my issues there. I want to be part of that selection process.
And of course, Bill Keegan will be the hiring manager as a strong town manager, so it'll be a good cooperative effort. But we have every hope that somebody won't be able to fill the shoes, of course, because they're big shoes to fill, but will be able to carry on the tradition of excellence in our police department. With the recent change from civil service to open management, as with other town managers, it'll be interesting to see what the process is.
And there's a couple more reasons that are important to me. And even if I don't win, at least I get my message out there. Mm-hmm. Judy's Flowers, they bought at the public auction the properties next door, and I'm watching the meeting, and I see there's a couple of selectmen that think that that's not what they had envisioned for that area. Well, if it's not what you had envisioned for the area, write the check yourself, because that's just inappropriate. You work together to figure out what's best for the business in the community. We've looked at that property, Bob, since before our time in 2005, and it's still there. You write a check for almost $500,000. I think the board should be pretty supportive of what was going to be done there. And to watch that meeting, and somebody said, that's not what I envisioned, it's not your purview to see what's envisioned. It just upset me very much. Okay. You know, that business I've seen grow from a flower to what it is now. And it's a great business, and they employ a lot of people. So I think that's a very important thing too, and that's going to be coming up. But
and of course, I'm here talking with Mark Sullivan, who is running for the one of the 3-year seats on the Board of Selectmen. And real quickly, I know that Marianne has given you permission to run, and you know, bless her heart for doing that. But and then your 4 kids, are they supportive also?
Yeah, I guess.
Morgan, Joe, Seamus, and your youngest
Johnny.
Is Johnny. Yeah. And so it's Team Sullivan.
Well, yeah, you know, they're all in this, Joe and Morgan are separate ways now. And they're older. Morgan's in college and Joe's in high school. I mean, there's nobody hanging on to daddy but the little guy, you know. So, but you bring up kids. That's my main focus in this election is I've been in front of the board twice and asked for them to put on town meeting warrant a budget line item to help combat the opium crisis, the epidemic that's in this community, and it hasn't happened. I think a town of what a budget started with back when our day was 42 million, is now up to over 60 million, can afford $60,000 to hire somebody to be part of the Board of Health to have the main focus be addiction, whether it be alcohol, opium, or heroin, whatever you want to call it. So if somebody as a family member, because as we say, heroin addiction doesn't affect one person. They think it does. It affects everybody. And one heroin addict can ruin a family. You just don't realize what it does to a family unless you've been hit by it or a friend.
Well, family, employer, and friends, absolutely. Yeah. There's an entire network that goes into
it's horrifying.
Dealing with the situation, and you're absolutely right. So that's, again, I'm talking with Mark Sullivan, who's running for Board of Selectmen, and that is what you said in the paper. One of the primary motivating factors for running for Board of Selectmen, you want to get this message out about opiate awareness and how the town can better combat and educate. It sounds like you're proposing, and you've proposed several times already, you say?
I've asked the board.
A line item inserted.
I've asked the board to do that, yes. And it's, you know what, people, and I know this from other people that are volunteer with support groups, they have nowhere to go, all right? You're John Smith, you just discovered your child's a heroin addict, where do you go? Well, the town is someplace for you to go to find out what you can do, what funding you can get, where you can put that child or brother or sister or whoever, relative, where to go, some direction. We have no place for anybody to get that direction. And you know, it's an epidemic. People are starting to realize. My first experience with heroin was in 1985. I was a coworker, saw a coworker. I've talked about this 11 years ago on cable access to deaf ears. Well, here it is. And people say, well, it doesn't affect me. I've heard other school committees say it doesn't affect me. When you see car break-ins and you see house break-ins and you just see everything being disappear on the side of the road, it's heroin. They come in, they steal quick items, and they end up at the pawn shop. I've had multitude of my neighbors broken into. I've had friends of mine houses broken into. They're not stealing TVs. They're stealing, you know, the jewelry and any cash they can find. because it's cheap and it's readily available. And we need to educate our community even more on it. I don't understand why it's such the stigma on it that people need to, like, I don't really want to talk about it. Because when we were young, remember AIDS?
I do.
How
indeed.
frightening that was?
Absolutely.
And everybody's frightened by that. Well, it's just as frightening now to me as this heroin epidemic, and it's growing because kids interact and they say, "Don't worry about it, you'll be fine." Well, there's one born every day.
And that's an interesting analogy because the AIDS crisis, which is still, you know, it's still a real disease, and while it certainly is treatable now, it's still out there. But through education, significant decrease in awareness, and so I suppose that is a similar message to what you're trying to get out with the Run for Board of Selectmen and your focus on opiate awareness and the current crisis that's facing our youth and our communities as a whole. So I'm going to, if you could give that telephone number one more time, it is 508-212.
3670.
3670. I'm going to give you the last word because we're so running out of time, but I want to again thank Mark Sullivan, who's running for Foxborough Board of Selectmen for we'll call it a fourth non-consecutive term. So welcome back to the political arena, and I wish you the best of luck in the upcoming election on May 2nd. And your role, of course, voters, is to become informed. Watch us, watch the Foxborough JC's Candidates Night Debate, read the Foxborough Reporter, and get as much information as you can. You can also call Mark at area code 508-212.
3670.
And Mark, you get the last word.
I just want to thank you and Foxborough Cable Access for giving me this opportunity to speak to the people. And I hope more than anything that everybody's more aware of the opium addiction problems in this community. It's getting worse by the day. We need to grab it. We need to get control of it. And it's the only way we're going to do that is by spending money. So, you know, good luck to all my other opponents, and do what you can for the best of Foxborough. Thank you.
And good luck to you, Mark.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming in, and thank you for spending the time with us to meet Mark Sullivan, candidate for Foxborough Board of Selectmen. On behalf of all the volunteers here at Cable Access, reminding you that you can check out a replay here on www.fcatv.org or watch it right here on your favorite Cable Access channel. Until next time, folks, have a great day, Foxborough. Remember to vote.